everyone. Today I'm starting a three-part series proving the existence of God, specifically the God of Christianity. To do so, I'll draw on something called the cosmological argument, which means there will be a fair amount of astronomy, physics, and the like in this video. I know that isn't everyone's thing, so just to let you know ahead of time, this video will contain strong elements of both science and philosophy. However, I first need to lay out some groundwork. The concept of God, as taught by the Catholic Church, is a very specific and complex idea, so it will take several arguments to completely prove his existence, hence several videos. This first video will attempt to prove God in a very general sense, not a God with every characteristic described by the Catechism. Another important point is that this isn't a scientific test for God's existence. I bring this up because a common objection from atheists about this kind of proof is that it isn't an empirical proof gained from scientific experiments. However, such an experiment would actually be impossible, because the God I am seeking to prove isn't an impersonal force, a la Star Wars, but a being with will and intent, who clearly states in Matthew chapter 4, verse 7 that he doesn't want to be tested. More importantly, there isn't any particular reason why God would have to be proved with an experiment, when logic and philosophy will get the job done quite nicely. So with that out of the way, let's get to the meat of the argument. Broadly, it goes like this. 1. Everything which has a beginning was caused to begin by something else. 2. The universe has a beginning. 3. Therefore, the universe was caused to begin by something else, commonly known as God. This is better known as the Kalam cosmological argument, and it's nothing particularly new. It's based on the 5 arguments for the existence of God from St. Thomas Aquinas. There are a few fairly common objections I'd like to address, so let's go through the reasoning point by point to make absolutely sure it holds true. The first premise, everything which has a beginning was caused to begin by something else, is fairly self-evident. If something has a beginning, whether it's a baby or a star, there is at least one other thing that caused that thing to begin. Stars are born from the remains of other stars by gravity, babies are conceived by their mother and father, etc. Furthermore, nothing can cause itself to exist. For that to happen, it would already have to be in existence to cause itself to exist, which is just impossible. Just like a baby can't conceive itself or cause itself to be conceived, anything else being the cause of its own existence is just ridiculous. The second premise is where physics gets involved. Physicists are more or less certain that the universe began to exist in an event known as the Big Bang, a theory, by the way, pioneered by Catholic priest Father George the Mitre in the 1930s. This is definitely the beginning of the universe, but the picture isn't quite that simple. Theoretical physicists in recent decades have proposed the existence of a multiverse, where new universes bud off of existing ones, kind of like a cell dividing. Could this multiverse have always existed without a beginning? Evidence for both physics and philosophy suggests otherwise. A multiverse with an infinite past runs into trouble with the second law of thermodynamics. Generally, this states that for any physical interaction, entropy will increase. And entropy is a measure of chaos, or how much usable energy there is. So, over time, the universe will always grow more chaotic and have less usable energy. Given infinite time, this would mean that the multiverse would have infinite chaos and no usable energy, just a giant ball of heat. Clearly this isn't the case, and our universe at the Big Bang had surprisingly low entropy. So neither the multiverse nor the universe could have an infinite past. Another issue with either the universe or the multiverse having an infinite past is that you can't ever get to infinity or have an infinite amount of time. Say, for example, you started counting at this very moment 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., one number every second. You'd never actually reach infinity. You could count for centuries, millennia, to the end of the universe, but there would always be another number, another second ahead. The same idea holds true for the universe. If it is infinitely old, then today is day number infinity. Therefore, it had to have been reached by the accumulation of an infinite number of days, one after the other. But just like our counting example, this process would never actually reach infinity, because that's what infinity means. So if today is day number infinity, this day never could have been reached. So neither the universe nor the multiverse, if it exists, could be infinitely old, because if they were, we'd never reach the present. And since the universe isn't infinitely old, it has to have a beginning, so the second premise holds. The conclusion, that the universe had a cause outside of itself, necessarily follows from the premises, but there are still several other objections that I'd like to address. Firstly, what if the universe really did create itself from nothing? Esteemed physicist Stephen Hawking, in a recent book, wrote, "Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing." While Mr. Hawking is well versed in physics, what he means by nothing is rather different than the word's philosophical meaning. The given quote comes at the end of a chapter describing in detail how fundamental forces like gravity, acting on energy fluctuations in the quantum vacuum of empty space, could create a universe like ours. However, the quantum vacuum of empty space isn't nothing as used by the Kalam argument. It exists, it has a small level of energy, and it's part of the universe more broadly. Therefore, this might explain how a universe could create itself from another universe, which has this quantum vacuum, but not how a universe could create itself from absolutely nothing. Next, why does the cause of the universe have to be God? Why couldn't it be a metaphysical hamburger, or the flying spaghetti monster, or something like that? Well, let's look at the characteristics of the cause of the universe, as implied by the argument we just went through. Since it caused the universe, it can't be a part of the universe, so this cause must be outside of space and time. Therefore, it lacks an easy analog to objects we're familiar with, like a hamburger. Also, because it created the universe, from our perspective at least, it would appear to be all-powerful. So that's a couple of major characteristics commonly associated with God. We haven't quite proven the Christian God, but it's a very strong start. The last common objection to this kind of argument is that if God created the universe, then what created God? However, this objection misses the entire point of the Kalam argument. The point is that for anything to exist, something has to exist which doesn't need a cause. This uncaused cause can't be the universe or anything in it, because, as proven earlier, all of these things have a beginning. So the uncaused cause has to be something outside of the universe, i.e. God. It's not necessarily the God of the Bible and Christianity, but it's a pointer in that general direction. At the very least, the cosmological argument proves the existence of somebody's God, and further examining the evidence will show a strong correlation between the uncaused cause and the God of Christianity. Ad Mahorem Dei Gloriam. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back soon.